food box schemes, or other things to now enable groups to make decisions, or I was powering a group that was hosting a lot of creative events that were engaging people in sustainable behaviors, like saving our rivers. But then in 2014, what we realized is that the most valuable thing that we were working on was our unique organizational model, and so we worked on open sourcing that. I have to give it a bit of an emphasis. So at the heart of everything that we developed was the design challenge of creating a system of work where each person could focus their energies on what was most meaningful to them. And in 2019, meaningful work is an urgent concern, not just for the well-being of workers, but also for the world. We don't really need more people working on adding more blades to razors, but we do need a lot more human energy focused on tackling huge challenges like climate change. But our current mainstream system of work is not geared for this. The practice of critical and active citizenship is lacking, hugely lacking in our educational and work systems and workplaces. And the drive to climb corporate ladders in the pursuit of agency, power, and self-worth often brings out the worst in us. The 40-plus hour work week takes so much of our energy that, especially for also parents who need to take care of families, it leaves us too busy and too stressed to do anything other than escapism. It's why Netflix and chill, Uber Eats, all of these things. Work is taking up so much space in our lives. So who has the space for critical self-reflection on topics like marginalized people and inequality? Who has time for that in their spare lives? It doesn't have to be like this. But how did something else get created and spiral? Well, the first thing we did was we took out the hierarchy and we made everyone responsible for creating their most meaningful job. I'm afraid these slides are a little bit cut off, a little bit cropped. But so we started off with 5 principles. The first one is entrepreneurialism. We didn't think charity was the way to serve the world. We wanted to shift the business world instead into something that was positive. The second one, collaboration. We wanted to be more than the sum of our parts and really support each other and help each other in creating our most meaningful work in service of the world. But also autonomy. You know, we wanted to embrace our individualism within the collective and not all be the same. And diversity as well. We didn't want to create an organization that was just for one kind of people or that suited one way of working or one way of being. We wanted to embrace difference. Transparency as well, because we all know that information is power. And if you don't know what's going on in a system, then you can't access the opportunities within it. So the next thing that we did is we developed processes and technology to radically share, first, control. We're an over 200 people organization with no hierarchy. We make all of our decisions collectively, and we created open source software for that called Lumio. Then money, another source of power within organizations. We created another software called Co-Budget that enabled us to do participatory budgeting, a little bit like an internal crowdfunding system for different projects and initiatives. And thirdly, knowledge. We did this through making as many of our processes open and transparent as possible, like our open source handbook, where you can see our whole organizational model laid out completely there. But as many thousands of people and groups around the world started adopting our different technologies and networked processes, we realized something weird. They weren't actually collaborating effectively, even with all of that stuff. So my job in 2015 was to figure out what it was that was creating our culture of collaboration that was enabling all of this good stuff to happen. And a lot of it came down to 3 things that we were doing differently. One, we realized that in order to collaborate well, we actually need to be more human. And being more human means a lot about feeling things, even having emotions, and also about having space to make sense. A lot of in our work life now, we start our jobs and we kind of have our onboarding process, but then we're supposed to be at peak performance like all the time like that. And it's not really how humans work. Our nervous system is set up to have curves of experience, where we have a stimulation, and then after that we have a point of integration. That's how we learn, that's how we evolve. And if we don't have space for that, well, we don't evolve. So the second thing, space to continuously prototype and learn. So if you're going to be innovative, if you're going to try new things, if you're going to help bring the world to a better place, you need to be able to try stuff in an environment where it's safe to fail. You don't have to be the expert all of the time. You can be humble in what you don't know and the questions that you're sitting with, as well as the things that you do know. So often we would frame what we were doing as an experiment. So I want to try this for a week. Is that okay with people? And bring people along in that way. And the important thing is, of course, if you try things, to learn from it, you actually have to go back and do the learning and think about it. So that's why you need the space to reflect. And the third thing is space to take initiative and agency. So much in our systems of work, we have our job description, and that's what we're there to do. And if we notice something that could be improved or have an idea that's outside of that, we don't have a space to put it. So creating a system of organization where anyone sees a need or an opportunity can act on it in a way that other people can also see through making it transparent and documented and invite other people in, changes the system completely. It's a really, really important thing for us having meaning at work and agency and feeling good in ourselves is no matter what position we are in the organization, we can do things that we think matter. So we know in the rapidly advancing smart machine age, all the AI and all that kind of stuff, the notion of work is going to change drastically for a lot, if not most people. The robots are coming. Are you afraid? Well, I actually see the technical advances as an opportunity for something I find pretty beautiful. The opportunity to re-specialize in being human. As all the technology comes, it becomes better at thinking than us, better at analysis, better at doing all of the things that humans don't do, that we've been trying to do at work, having all the knowledge, being the expert. We can try and do something else. We can embrace our other pretty vital, uniquely human competencies. And so now in Canada, with my Inspiral experience behind me, though I still hang out with those guys, I work with teams and organizations to bring about these things in their teams. So firstly, creativity. Yes, everyone is creative. It's not just designers, I guess. Critical thinking ethics. Something really, 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 really need to strengthen in our work these days, and especially as the technology is advancing, who is figuring out the ethics of those things? And lastly, empathy and relatedness. One of the leading causes of illness that's coming out now is loneliness. Last year, the UK appointed a minister of loneliness, estimating that it was costing UK employers $3.5 billion a year. It's been seen as actually one of the leading causes of burnout in workplaces is loneliness. So how can our workplaces be more like nurturing communities that are enabling us to do what is most meaningful in the service of what matters most to us? That is the question I sit with. So in my mind, the future of work is not only human, it's human development. We need to develop ourselves back into amazing humans that we're wired to be. We need to get smarter about the systems that we're interacting with. We need to get good at both autonomy, self-leadership, and collaboration, making us more bigger than the sum of our parts. A lot better at empathy and listening, trust, humility, the ability to respond to the big challenges that are hitting our world right now, how to create power dynamics that are not coercive but are actually positive and empowering, how to work with collective intelligence, how to blend your mind with minds that are different to yours in order to find solutions that are actually more complete in serving the world, and how to keep learning together and growing. So, in the interest of sharing knowledge, I love talking about this stuff, so feel free to come and ask me about things or contact me through the website. Also on there, there's a practices page which is regularly being added to, which starts to put some things in there that I've found through my consulting work here, that if you start in any team, it actually starts to create some of those things in a very small, lightweight way. There is an easy place to start. You don't need to totally explode the hierarchy overnight. But I invite you to come and talk to me and to jump on the website and do the small things to start making your workplace and your organizations more human. Thank you.